It is so good to see everyone in person here, and thank you all for joining remote as well. I am so excited to talk about unstacking student data and campus infrastructure. We have some amazing panelists here today. I can't wait to hear from everyone. But before we jump into our topic, I want to take just a minute and do introductions. I'll start us off. My name's Amanda Mason. I work for a company called Unicon. We're located in Gilbert, Arizona. It's about 20 minutes south of Phoenix. And at Unicon, we're a technology consulting firm. We have a focus on the education ecosystem. This is my 10th year with Unicon. I'm the director of business and technical analysis, and this is going to be my 20th year in the higher education field. So very excited to be here with everyone. I'll call on everyone next. So Mark Simpson, do you want to go ahead and do an introduction?
Sure. Thank you for having us. My name is Mark Simpson. I'm the Assistant Vice Provost for Enrollment Services at the University of Texas in Austin and University Registrar. And I'm just thrilled to be here. I've been in higher ed almost 30 years. I come from very much the business side of the house. I've been in admissions, scholarships, University Registrar perspectives, and I'm really passionate about student systems. And I think that's how I landed here today.
Yes, nice to have you here. Kevin is remote at Sheridan College. So Kevin, do you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Absolutely. I truly wish I was there in person, but you'll have to put up with me this way. Kevin Paschak. I am Associate Vice President for Digital Transformation and Technology for Sheridan College near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You may not have heard of the college, but you may have watched a Disney or Pixar movie, which has many of our grads engaged and involved in it. We're a school of about 24,000 full-time, 18,000 part-time students. And I have nothing to do with technology in my role. I really am a change agent and bring change into organizations. So that is my role at Sheridan.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then Niraj, how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, so this is Raj Khajii. I'm the CEO of Academos. We are a course content platform company. We serve about 150 institutions, ranging from big institutions like CUNY and University of Oklahoma to small liberal arts and faith-based institutions. I've been in higher ed for 20 years and happy to be here today.
Awesome, thank you. Jason, you're with Anthology now. Awesome, yep. Go ahead and introduce
Hi, I'm
yourself.
Jason Pyle, Vice President of Product Architecture at Anthology. Been at Anthology about 9 months, and my role is leading the integration strategy across all of the Anthology products, partner products, custom integrations. I've been in higher ed for a little over 20 years. Been doing integrations for about that long. I also am an adjunct faculty member at Wake Tech Community College, where I teach a couple asynchronous online classes too.
Very cool, very cool. All right, Chris Riddle.
Hey, thank you. I'm Chris Riddle. I'm a 7-time AWS certified senior solutions architect with AWS. I've been in higher education for supporting higher education in the state of Georgia for the last 2 years, and actually working at a local university before that for about 7 years. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And then Justin's here remote with us from CourseDog. So Justin, do you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, hey, it's great to see everyone, see some familiar faces, some new faces. I'm Justin. I'm co-founder and CEO of CourseDog. My story is that about 4 years ago, computer science student at Columbia University asked this exact question, why were universities using so much on-premise legacy technology? CourseDog today serves about 120 university partners. We provide an integrated academic operations platform that helps universities graduate more students through scheduling, class scheduling, curriculum management, catalog management, and student planning. And I'm really excited to be joining the panel today.
Great, thank you. And then my colleague, Linda Fang.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Fang. I'm a principal software architect with Unicon, so working with Amanda. I have been at Unicon for about 5 years, specializing in integrations and analytics. Came to Unicon from Instructure, where I was on the product team for Canvas, working on SIS integrations, data and analytics. And before that, I spent many years working on the Oracle PeopleSoft student information system, building out their integration platform. So I will say that I have spent the vast majority of my career worrying about getting student data from point A to point B. And back again, I'll say. So I'm super excited to be on this panel, have been waiting all day just to talk about student data interoperability.
Awesome, thank you. And then we have Chris from Higher Digital.
Hey, my name is Chris Fontaine. I joined Higher Digital only about 7 months ago. I'm leading the enterprise services area of that company, and prior to that, I worked at Ellucian for 14 years. Like many other people here, involved heavily with the integration part of SIS and ERP systems. I worked at a university before that, helping get data from point A to point B. So I've been in higher education for about 20 years as well.
Okay, very good. And then last but not least, we have another Amanda Main. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Amanda Main, I'm coming from Pay Clearly, and I'm actually stepping in place of John Jameson. And I am Pay Clearly's Director of Business Relationships and Channel Management. My key role in our company is onboarding clients, including higher education and schools, to automate their AP payments and getting them out of the process of writing checks and physical payment processing and getting them onboarded with our cloud-based AP solution, which we are actually integrating with end-to-end to make that really easy for schools. So I'm really excited to be here and talk with you all more about digital data.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I want to set the stage for just a few minutes, and I'm actually going to, Dr. Imad said something earlier today that really resonated with me. He mentioned that, you know, back when he was in college, he had cassette tapes, right? Like, here, go play my cassette tape so I can, you know, break dance. VHS, right? That's the generation I grew up in. And it's funny, one of the things that I love to do just on my own is I do a lot of photography, I do a lot of media creation for youth sports. And my son, I was uploading his video and I put it on a flash drive and I'm like, here you go. And he's like, well, I don't know what to do with that. Just put it on the cloud, just put it on the cloud. And I'm like, you're 12, like how do you know what the cloud is, right? So our kids, they have this technology, everything is at their fingertips, right? But I want to take a minute and step back, and I want us to think, though, about our universities and our institutions. And I want us to think about the SISs, right? When I first entered this industry, we had server rooms, and it was full of hardware, right? That's what a lot of these systems started with, and some are still on. So I want us to just talk about today the transition to the cloud. We've seen over the past 10 years, we've seen a lot of these systems start to move to the cloud. And we've seen everything from, like I said, SIS systems, even parking management systems, bookstores. Bookstores are totally different. It's not like when I went to college and I go to the bookstore and I'm carrying 50 pounds worth of books, right? Everything is online now. So when we're transitioning from on-prem to cloud-based systems, we're seeing a lot of institutions, a lot of organizations looking for best practices. They're wanting recommendations. They're concerned about security management and the best methodologies. And that's where we come into play, right? We offer those solutions. So in this panel, we're going to discuss two separate things. We're going to talk about, from our institutions, how the institutions are gearing toward this new reality. Well, I want some real life experience. What are you guys seeing? What are your needs? And then we're going to talk to the providers, and we're going to get a good understanding about how you're rethinking student data and campus infrastructure. Okay? So I want to start with our colleges first, and I'm going to call on Mark Simpson first, because you're here. Again, he's from University at Texas, Austin. I want to hear a little bit how this is affecting your institution. So how is this movement impacting your campus? And what are some of the needs that your university is facing?
If I can, the University of Texas is my 5th institution that I've worked at.
Oh, wow.
And every institution, I've started at a very small 2-year school. I've been at large schools. I've been involved with schools who built their own SISs. I've been involved with national and international partnerships to try to build systems. I've been involved in implementations of many tools and even modifying and leveraging the existing technology that we have to make better, to do better. And one of the commonalities of every school I've been to is our technology is not enough. It's not meeting our expectations, but it still gets the basics done. And in today's language, my analogy is really simple. As a lot of the processes and the tools that we have, it reminds me of, the University of Texas, we're based on a mainframe system that was designed in the mid-'70s. 1975, the number one selling car was an Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Wow.
Oldsmobile doesn't exist anymore. And if you have one of those cars, it's actually worth quite a bit. But we have Rivian expectations now. We still want to get from point to point, but our expectations have changed just exponentially. And to understand the appetite and the need of our students, of our faculty members, as our consumers, the employers and other schools who want to leverage our students. The desires just continue to grow, and we've not been able to keep up. And every school has talked about, I need to get up to the next version of my product, or I need to get off my product and get onto a brand new product. We've heard for over 10 years appetite for cloud-based SISs. And what we're learning is even in those models, people are leveraging multiple products, best-of-breed solutions, if you're okay with that language, to deliver the services that we need. We need smaller and more nimble to deliver faster. And so as an institution, we're desperately looking for kind of partners and tools that help us get from point A to point B. In fact, that's what led to my first conversation with Karen. As I said, Karen, is this actually possible? Can we really build integrations between these amazing products that exist today? That's one part of a portfolio, and another one, and how do we do that? And so to me, there's a need, and you translate that, the on the campus, in the present experiences as a teaching learning organization, does a faculty member have the right information to know the student's academic preparation for their class? Do we even measure learning at a small enough level so a faculty member of the tutoring services or partnered peer classes that happen, they know the right information about the student to intervene? Simple analogy is if your class requires long division and the student, we know through our previous assessments, the student marginal or doesn't understand long division well enough, we need to have just-in-time prep and support for that student when they're in a class that requires long division. We need technologies on our campuses to help us understand learning at that level that is literally helping us transition and share that information across the campus experience if our goal really is to be a transformative institution, which higher ed is. It's one simple example of that. And I could go on for hours, and then there's so many other people that have real experiences, so I'll stop.
You're good. All right. Thank you for that. I think it's so important that service providers understands the needs. It's important to know what are the pain points, what problems are we trying to solve. So thank you for going into detail there. That was very helpful. I do want to hear from Kevin at Sheridan College. And again, Kevin's remote. Again, same type of question. How has this movement impacted your college, and how are you preparing your teams for this new reality?
Great question. Thanks, Amanda. Should be noted that our problem is not necessarily a technological one, but it's a cultural one. The issue here is not that our students don't expect everything to be there and integrated and aggregated and at their fingertips, but we as institutions have been calling ourselves institutions for years, but we have acted as anything but an institution. We do have, islands of wonderful pockets of excellence, but we have a whole lot of history of bad process, very manual-driven processes, systems that don't speak to one another, that has to be somehow brought together invisibly. The students themselves, their expectations are already there. It really is the transition of the entrenched processes that we've got to almost not just lift and shift when we bring new technology or just move it to the cloud, but we're also doing process reengineering at the same time. We're also looking at culturally changing, an institution that called itself that, but would budget separately by department, would plan independently. our response at Sheridan College has been very much the implementation of things like integrated planning across the institution to understand, are they tied to strategic goals? Are there systems already out there? We've developed an Office of Enterprise Architecture to have these systems work together. Portfolio management to get things done. How do we get things done? That is really to make sure that the systems we bring in, cloud-based, really is a given pretty much these days. Getting the skilled talent to maintain the systems for on-prem is getting harder and harder in this sector. The competition, the war on talent or the war for talent has created a challenge for us to hire. So therefore, there's more so of partnering and managed services become a real tool that we can actually move our institutions forward on, along with strong governance. Now, for each of the cloud providers out there, systems providers, it should be known that your system, the more that it adopts to standards and plays well with others, is absolutely crucial for the success. End-to-end is really pick the right space of helping all of these systems talk to one another and aggregate data so that we can create, it's one thing to say data lake or boathouse by the data lake. It's another thing to actually get those data, validated and moved across the systems. So understanding that you're not the only fish in the sea, you cannot become an island of wonderful in my world and help me be successful in doing so. So I know there's lots of other people to talk, so I'll stop there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we've talked to two institutions. I want to talk to Raj now because you guys offer the online, and it's a hybrid bookstore. So talk to me a little bit about how this movement is affecting your services to colleges, and how's it affecting your organization?
Yeah, so I think probably the best way to describe it, and I think the reason why I'm on this panel is because we don't think of certain services as being things that migrate to the cloud. Okay. But I operate a business where 150 institutions, actually more, have chosen to actually take book selling off campus and actually push it to an online e-commerce platform, which we operate. And we actually have to interoperate with SIS, LMS, financial aid systems. So we actually have a lot of integration flows and work. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I think is really essential, and I think it was mentioned a little bit tangentially before, is as one is thinking about, as a college is thinking about moving a service to the cloud, I think there's a great opportunity to reimagine fundamentally what the service is. As we think about the service that we provide, which is a bookstore, and one would think that's a very simplistic thing. Right. One has to think, as things are moving to the cloud and moving from a physical format to a digital format, one has an opportunity to reimagine. So for example, as books themselves are becoming digital assets, can you actually have data capture relative to how much is a student reading? And so I think there's a great opportunity for a number of different services that have historically been present on campuses for decades and decades to sort of reimagine as they look to the future and as they move not just to the cloud, but fundamentally change because of the way technology is shifting.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I have never been a big digital book fan. However, the data analytics aspect is game changing. So I think moving to digital is going to be amazing for students and probably a lot more cost effective. So, all right. So Jason, so talk to me a little bit about, do you see this trend continuing to accelerate, and how's your organization helping colleges?
Yeah, definitely see the trend continuing to accelerate. And Raj, you hit on a great point about as things move to the cloud, you have to reimagine how you do business. Mm-hmm. And I talk with a lot of institutions about that if you're moving to the cloud, you don't want to do the same thing just in the cloud. You're missing a huge opportunity to gain efficiencies and run your business differently. And so I just see more and more moving to the cloud. Anthology, we don't even sell on-premise software anymore. And and Blackboard's the same way. That's now part of Anthology. With COVID, there was a huge uptick in Blackboard customers that migrated to the cloud, up to I want to say it's like 80–90% of the Blackboard customers are now SaaS.
Right.
And so the move to the cloud, I think, also opens up the options for, Tim, what you call it, best-of-breed solutions. Smaller point solutions that do something really, really well. It's how Justin and I met, and what CourseDog does. And with these best-of-breed solutions and having them in the cloud, you can get them stood up and set up so much faster and spend less time setting up servers, administration, and provide that value to the students right away. But it does come with challenges. As you get more of those best-of-breed solutions, integrations become much more challenging.
Right.
And at this point, integrations is just table stakes at this point. And for integrations, I'll even say near real-time integrations are table stakes. Like, I remember going and paying a bill and being told, check your account tomorrow. And now being in higher ed, I know it's because some batch process was grabbing data overnight. You tell a student that today, and they're going to laugh at you.
Right. No, that's a great point. Great point. And then you gave me a really good segue to talk to Justin over at CourseDog. So what challenges are you seeing, and do you see this trend continuing to accelerate?
Yeah, definitely. I want to echo sort of what Jason, Raj, Kevin said.
Yeah.
Cloud introduces incredible opportunities to transform business processes. So I actually tell schools, like, don't buy my product if you're not willing to change your processes. Because a huge part of the value for us, hey, are you looking at course demand when you're building your class schedule right now? Are you thinking about providing an Amazon-like experience in the course catalog and course selection process for students to make it easier for them to graduate on time? Are you thinking about degree maps? And most of the time, the answer to these questions are, hey, we're not doing this right now, but it's something that we're open to as we're adopting software. So I think like software is awesome and can create incredible efficiencies, and I think schools are seeing a lot of benefits from that, but it's ultimately a conscious cultural decision on campus that I think drives the most ROI for the student.
Very good, very good, very insightful. Thank you so much. Chris Riddle, AWS. So you've had a lot of experience with this. How radically did the campuses have to adopt to move their on-prem software and applications to the cloud over the past 10 years?
So I think it's definitely with the partners we have today and the faculty and staff that we're talking to at institutions, the move to cloud is making it easier, I think. It has been a struggle, and I know it's a long journey for a lot of institutions, but today I feel the response we're getting back from our customers, again, whether it's universities themselves or partners, is the ability of the cloud to scale, to help them become more agile, more responsive, is helping to speed that journey. And we're seeing an exponential kind of transfer into this cloud and hybrid architecture. One of the things I love about AWS is that we say we're incredibly customer focused. We're customer obsessed, right? And in fact, 90 to 95% of the services and the features that we offer are direct feedback that we get from our customers. So, we're hearing the things that you guys are saying, the data analytics and data platforms to be able to take all of this data that you're collecting on campus and using it in a meaningful way is something that we're working on. And we've actually built accelerators for universities, and we have programs to enable universities, because we continue to hear that we have a ton of data at our university, but we don't know what to do with it, right? And one of the things we're trying to help universities, or even our partners with their software solutions, is take that data and then provide meaningful insights back to the university that ultimately help the student. So, as some of the other panel members were talking about, how do we preemptively see if a student is succeeding or failing, and then what do we do to interact with that? So at AWS, we're really helping to enable and to streamline the journey into the cloud and hopefully make it as seamless as possible.
Awesome, very good. Thank you. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about SIS systems now. And so Linda, these next questions are for you. You work a lot with institutions on their SIS. How's everything migrating from the cloud and the SIS? It's an older technology, and I can just assume that from a migration perspective, there might be some challenges there. So I want to hear a little bit about how that experience has been for you.
Yeah, so I think one of the observations that I've had, I mean, with what Unicon does in partnering with institutions and ed tech companies, is that the truth of the matter is while there's a lot of adoption of cloud and SaaS products in our higher ed industry, most of the core student information system and the process is in a way still stuck on-prem and in kind of these monolithic systems. I was there 10 years ago while I was at Oracle working on PeopleSoft after years of working on campus solutions. We were so excited that Oracle had announced the beginning of the Student Cloud project. This was kind of, for us, we were seeing this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to re-envision, as folks here have said, how we could improve the lives of students through an online learning environment. But 10 years later, it's interesting to see now that there's a lot of challenges and barriers. One of them being cost. I think for universities, when you're already budget strapped, and all you have to, your main goal is to enroll, enroll, register, and graduate students. That is not something you want to disrupt. Let alone trying to bring on new programs and support all your faculty with all of the changes that happen and that are thrown your way. So, I kind of liken it to how do you build the new road while the cars are still driving on the road every day.
Exactly.
Although we have seen that can happen. I think the photo earlier someone showed was of building the bridge, right? You build the bridge next to it, and now you can try to re-architect. But what I think is happening, which I love, is that I'm starting to see on the edges this new form and this new disruption, and it is creeping in. So the bookstore and course scheduling. So slowly, and with the increased expectations that students have, this is starting to drive the core processing of student enrollment and registration into the new era. And this is actually what is why it's even more important that APIs and the way in which we kind of are decoupling the various functions within our monolithic student system are so important. So platforms like N2N are going to be I should say, very important now, today, and will be more important in the future. Jason, you're sitting there, and I'm going to just call you out because the Lucian, in those days, was the first one to build the Ethos platform, and it has actually proven that student systems like Banner and Colleague can actually be, decoupled, and that APIs actually are working there. So now within standards organization, which I'm very involved in, we're now looking to kind of build out a new standard called EduAPI, which is kind of re-envisioning some of the earlier rostering standards around getting student data from the LMS, from student systems to the LMS, and really trying to better match what learning programs look like. What is an education? I would say like 10 years ago when we first were working on rostering standards, the people around working on the standard, we could barely agree on what a course was.
Right.
So we have come a long way, but there is more work to do. But I'm definitely seeing those cracks beginning to form, and I think it's very important that we continue to work on making these API directions, more feasible.
Awesome. Yes, couldn't agree more. Thank you for that. Chris, Higher Digital. So tell me, based on your experience, what are you seeing and how are your solutions helping institutions and organizations?
So we're a digital transformation services company, and what we see with institutions is the challenge of integrating solutions, right, as they adopt SaaS products. As on-premise solutions get retired, universities and colleges aren't looking for more on-premise applications, right? They're looking at SaaS products. But the challenge are the APIs, the ability to integrate things easily, smoothly. And we feel like what they need to do is invest in business orchestration, right? Building out those business processes, and looking for solutions that don't just add a certain new feature set, but a solution that fits into their organization, right? So there's this feeling, real feeling of loss of control when you move to a SaaS product and away from an on-premise solution. And that's a big challenge for a lot of universities. And a lot of times that's because the solution itself doesn't provide the right APIs, or they don't understand them, or they're not documented, or they're hidden behind some sort of function to get to those things. But part of that business orchestration, improving business processes, identifying those things can help those projects be successful.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so Amanda, so tell me a little bit about your institute or your organization and how it's helping institutions.
Yeah, so like I said, we're a cloud-based AP solution. So what we do for institutions is providing them with a means of completing all of the different invoices and payables that all of these schools have to pay. And what we really do is we help take the process from just cutting checks and dealing with manual processes for seeing if all of the accounting is in place, if the budgets are in place, if invoices have been paid on time. That gets really hard with checks. So what we do is we will optimize the AP solution to get actually more of the payments paid by ACH and card. Nice. So we actually earn our revenue off of changing check payments over to card, and that makes us able to provide this solution for free. So what we'll do is we'll take invoices, we'll pay them on behalf of the institutions, and then we'll provide all of the data that we receive through the API connection into whatever your ERP system is, so that you can easily say, okay, everything that I needed paid this week is processed, here's everything that's in transit, and I can go ahead and now take that extra time that I have and prepare my pay file for next week. So you're kind of redeploying hours, also using our service to get all of the information that you need to reconcile, and then you're getting out of the business of check writing, all for free. So that's our biggest offering, and our realization early on was that data is so important when it comes to payments. Most of our competitors offer a lot of similar things in being able to execute payments and pass data back to you. But what we do that sets us really apart from others is our ability to give you every piece of information. We don't withhold anything. We also are able to customize to any particular business need. So that just gives us the opportunity to serve any business that has AP payments that they're currently cutting by checks today.
Awesome. I know that's going to be so helpful to students. Thank you so much for that. So we're at time. I do want to say thank you to everyone for participating. not only are we about to change the future, but you guys and your organizations and your institutions are a huge part of that, and it's a big deal. So I just want to say thank you for helping our students. Thank you all.
Thank you.